2024 is almost over. Thank God. But with that said, I want to start the first annual end of year album ranking for my channel. I know other channels do this, but I'm doing it for me now, this year. We're doing it with laundry. I just figured like it would keep you guys entertained if I did my laundry, and then it would also give me motivation to do my laundry because it's just been sitting there for like an hour now. The seasonal depression is like hitting really bad, but I love recording videos and it like momentarily takes me out of my little funks, so yeah, I'm excited for this video. Ever since the year started, I've been compiling all the albums that I've listened to this year, or at least the ones that have came out, that have come out this year. And there will be a couple ones that I like skipped or like didn't listen to fully, and we'll get into those later in the video. But I wanted to rank them in 4 categories: not good, mediocre, great, and perfection. And then the secret 5th category, which is albums I want to mention. So those would be the ones that like I didn't fully listen to or didn't have time to listen to. And the day that I'm filming this is the day that SOS Deluxe by SZA comes out, and I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. Let me know if you guys want a reaction video to that, because I might record one. Let's get into this list. Okay, I don't want to start off on a bad note, so we're gonna skip the not great albums and go straight into mediocre, and we will go into the 2 albums I have in not great right before we get into the perfection. So at number 17 on my ranking, we have Bleachers by Bleachers, the self-titled album from one of my favorite artists. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I like worship the ground that Jack Antonoff walks on. Probably the best producer of this century, or at least this generation. I think that what he does is incredible, and not to say that, you know, there aren't other producers who are comparable or on his level. I'm just saying that I think that what he does is his mind works creatively in a way that no one has thought to experiment with before. Like, he comes at music from an angle that I don't often see people come from. With that said, I do think that his 4th solo album as Bleachers, was not a success. He didn't do any of the things that I thought made him Jack Antonoff. It felt like an amalgamation of other artists, and specifically Bruce Springsteen, that I didn't understand why it didn't feel like the unique Bleachers I fell in love with whenever I first started listening to him. I've been a Jack Antonoff stan since like 2017 when Melodrama by Lorde came out, and I was like, whoever produced this deserves all the accolades. So not only did he produce Melodrama, but he produced my other favorite album, Norman fucking Rockwell by Lana Del Rey. So I do think that he's incredible. I just wish that whenever he created this album, he came at it with the perspective that made me fall in love with him. And I didn't get that from this album. But it's listenable, and it is, you know, it's good background noise. Crazy too that for a self-titled album, I felt like it was the album that most felt distant from who he was as an artist. And that takes us into number 16, X's by Cigarettes After Sex. Oh, fuck, wait. Oh, my least favorite song on Bleachers is Hey Joe, and my most favorite song is Alma Mater. Now, my Cigarettes After Sex knowledge is pretty limited. I've listened to their first album, and I've listened to X's. I believe that X's is their 3rd album, right? I haven't listened to any of their singles or... What the fuck is that? I haven't listened to any of their like singles or EPs or their 2nd album or anything like that, and I do really love their music. I think it's great. My only issue with them is I don't know what makes one cigarette song different from the next. Cigarettes After Sex stans don't come for me. Like, I do enjoy their music, and I think it's great, like winter music, sleep music, make out music. I think it's great for like a million different things, and I think that what they do is beautiful. It's just that I'm not totally sure what I'm supposed to focus on when every song kind of sounds exactly the same. My favorite song is Holding You, Holding Me, and I couldn't really pick a least favorite song because, you know, there wasn't really like a bad song on the project. It's just that they all kind of blended into one. Now we're heading into the great categories, and there's a lot of albums in this category. Number 15, Dauntless Manifesto by Cupcake. When I tell you, when this album came out, I could not stop listening to it. It had a chokehold on me. This is probably the best Cupcake album, and I don't know if people know this about me, I actually do really enjoy Cupcake's music, not ironically. I love to listen to Cupcake. I think her lyrics are super witty, her flow and her cadence is just so impressive, and for someone who is like, you know, kind of categorized as like a meme singer, she does have a lot of talent. I mean, there were a lot of standout tracks on here, but if I had to pick a favorite, it's track number 1, Grilling 2, and then my least favorite track would probably be Nun Nun. It's just like, it's okay. I skip it whenever it comes on. It's like just fine. There's not really much like I can say like artistically or emotionally about this album. I just think that she's super talented and that this was a great album, which is why it made the last placement on the great category. We'll go into number 14, GNX by Kendrick Lamar. I was worried about ranking this album because I didn't know how the Kendrick stans would receive me ranking this album, because I've never been a part of the Kendrick fandom. I think that T-Pab is an excellent album, and that was the only album I'd heard of his before this album. But like I said, whenever I saw that Jack Antonoff had production credits on it, I was like, oh, let me give it a listen. And also all of the tracks he released over the summer, I had on loop. You know, especially Not Like Us. I feel like all of us had Not Like Us on repeat. I was surprised to see, from a promotional standpoint, he didn't put that on this album. But whenever you're already in the limelight as much as Kendrick Lamar is right now, I don't feel like you really need a lead single from this album. He's always super introspective with his lyrics. Like everything he says, it feels like it's train of thought, but put so poignantly. My least favorite song is probably TV Off. Like there's a disconnect for me in the first half and the second half of the song, and I get that that's kind of what he was going for, but for me, I just, you know, whenever it comes on, I'm not typically going to listen to the first half just to get to the second half, which I like more. And then my favorite is probably Whacked Out Murals or Luther. I'm a big SZA fan. I really, really love SZA. So any song that SZA did on this album, I thought was incredible. So Luther is like beautiful. Luther is one of the most beautiful tracks I think that came out this year. And then Whacked Out Murals, the production is insane. It's so good. Number 13, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. I guess it's time to address the massive elephant in the room. And I'm sorry I've waited so long to make this statement. I'm wearing this hat because my hair is greasy. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to lie to y'all. I wasn't wearing this hat today. This hat wasn't part of the outfit. The outfit today is literally gym shorts and a football jersey. The hat wasn't included. I put it on before the video because I was like, I'm not gonna go wash my hair just for a video. So this is the real me. You're getting to see the real me right now. Anyways, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. This album, deservedly had a chokehold on all of us over the summer. I wouldn't say that we had a short and sweet summer, but we definitely had an espresso summer and a brat summer. And we'll get into brat. Short and Sweet is a good album, but this might be controversial. I feel like it's not Sabrina's best album. I still feel like Emails is probably, and like the Singular albums. I love Singular. Both, I can't choose between either of them. I feel so pretentious whenever I say this, but I've been a Sabrina stan since Can't Blame a Girl for Trying came out. Ever since I saw the Can't Blame a Girl for Trying music video on Disney Channel, I've been a Sabrina stan. And I've stuck with her. Like, I remember sitting at lunch in 8th grade whenever one of the Singulars came out. I believe it was Singular Act 2. But whenever it came out, I said, drop everything. This isn't about Sabrina's past albums though. This is about Short and Sweet. And do I feel like Short and Sweet stacks up against Emails I Can't Send? Not really. It's an incredible album, and Sabrina is an incredible artist, and I'm so glad she's finally getting her flowers, because I've been saying for years that Sabrina needs to get her flowers for serving us the performances, the vocals, the personality, and y'all didn't want to listen to me until now. Like, I think Espresso and Please 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 are just incredible songs, and I feel like Taste should not have been the last single, because in my opinion, Taste is my least favorite song on the album. It's catchy, I get it, the music video was incredible, I just think that sonically, it doesn't feel like it belongs on the rest of the album. Especially whenever we have different genre explorations on this album, this one feels the most like it doesn't belong. Lyrically, I don't really care for it. Vocally, I don't really care for it. It doesn't even feel like a Sabrina Carpenter song. It's just okay. Like, it is a just okay song. My favorite song is Lie to Girls. I think Lie to Girls is beautiful. I think that it's very relatable. I feel like even if you're not a girl, you understand or you have something to learn from that song. And now we're on number 12, Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves. I'm of the minority opinion that this album is incredible. I've seen a lot of people, and well, even my mom doesn't like this album. They say it's too slow, all the songs sound the same, and I'm gonna call bullshit right now because I think that all of the songs have a very distinct theme and sonic landscape to them. And with the deluxe version of the album, I feel like the album got even better, and I usually feel like deluxe albums make the album just a little bit too long. Like, if you're gonna come out with a deluxe album, you better provide bangers. You better make this album feel like I have never heard it before. SZA, I'm looking at you. I think that this album was really healing for me to hear. It's actually on my healing playlist. Just all the songs were written from such a beautiful place of TLC for oneself, you know? I think she really found herself, especially after Star-Crossed being a little bit of a mess. I do think that, like, I like Star-Crossed. I think it was a great idea, and I think it's what she needed in the moment. I do think that sonically, the album was a little bit of a push for her. So this album felt like a very refreshing take on Casey Musgraves. It felt like I could feel the healing that occurred. My favorite song was Deeper Well. Nope. My least favorite song was Deeper Well, and my favorite song is Heaven Is. At number 11, we're getting close to the top 10, and oh my god, don't kill me for this. At number 11, we've got The Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. This is just the first half of the album. My least favorite track, again, don't kill me, But Daddy I Love Him. From my very first listen, I have not liked But Daddy I Love Him. Like, the lyrics, like, at first, okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but at first I thought But Daddy I Love Him was about an abortion. If you like read the lyrics from that perspective, like, it makes sense, trust me. I didn't assume Maddie Healy at all. My first listen through, I didn't think about Maddie Healy. I literally was just like, this whole album's gonna be about Joe. Not once did Maddie Healy cross my mind. So I still don't vibe with that song, no matter what. Nothing's gonna make me like the production of that song. I feel like that song is way too long. But LOML is probably one of the best Taylor Swift songs that she's ever done. The entire album, I feel like y'all are being a little too harsh about, because the entire album is beautifully written. The production is really good. I think what people's issues with the album aren't necessarily what they say they are. It's more about an overexposure to Taylor Swift. I think it's just a little bit of burnout. I don't think that the album is bad by any means. I just think that everyone's a little bit tired of hearing them all together. Because, like, in hindsight, the album is good and the production's good. And that's really all I have to say about the Tortured Poets Department. Like, I could have talked about it a lot more. I feel like with a lot of these albums, there's not much to be said that hasn't already been said. Very upsetting news. I keep pulling up SZA's merch store. Number one, why is the Lana vinyl $180? And number two, why do I keep getting redirected to the Australian store? We are now in the top 10. So at the number 10 spot, we have Escaper by Sarah Kinsley. I've been following Sarah for a very long time. You know that feeling whenever you discover a very small artist and you like kind of fall in love with them and you want them to do well, but you also kind of want to gatekeep them? That was Sarah for me. I remember whenever she went on tour and it so happened that the day that I was going to go tour Berklee College of Music, she was performing a show there, and that trip ended up not working out for me, but I wanted to go see her so bad at Berklee College of Music. That would have been so cool. Anyways, I will say I haven't listened to this album a whole lot, just because there's been so many projects that have come out this year, but every time I listen to it, it is such an enjoyable listen all the way through. It's such a great piece of indie music, a very cohesive piece of indie music. My least favorite song is The Last Time We Never Meet Again, and I think my favorite song is probably Realms. Realms is really good. At number 9, we've got Electric Honey by Tenariel. Oh my god. Okay, Tenariel is an incredible artist that I need y'all to all check out immediately. Not only is she incredibly talented vocally, she is gorgeous, just a beautiful human being, and then her music is so vibey. I don't know if Electric Honey really counts as an album. It kind of gives EP vibes. My least favorite song is probably Let Me In, and that's like really pushing it because I think that this project is just beautiful. So like saying that I have a least favorite song is really not easy. It's just that one tends to make me skip. And then my favorite song is Overflow. The first time I heard Overflow, it went on like all my playlists. The production on that project is just great though. Like there's not a single song that is like, the production could have been better. No, like the production is beautiful on this project. At number 8, The Anthology by Taylor Swift. My least favorite song is Thank You Amy, and my favorite song is The Black Dog. Picking a favorite off of The Anthology was really difficult. I'm of the unpopular opinion, or maybe it's the popular, I don't know. I'm not really online like that. The Anthology was better than the Torture Post Department. The Anthology just had better music. The Anthology was just better music, and some of her best lyrics are on the Anthology. Like the entirety of the manuscript needs to be put in a museum. Yeah, picking a favorite from the Anthology was so hard, because like, how did it end? Also, Chloe and Sam or Sophia or Marcus, like, oh, I look in people's windows, I'm gonna get you back. The Prophecy, oh my god. If y'all don't relate to The Prophecy, I'm so happy for you. Give me your secrets. Tell me your secrets. Give me your life. And if I talk about that too much, I'm gonna get really existential, and I'm gonna open up too much on the internet, and I don't want to give too much about myself away. There's got to be like some element of mystery to me. As far as Thank You Amy being my least favorite track on this project, I think it's kind of like a low point in her career that I do believe she talks about a lot. It's just, musically, I don't really care for it, and I don't know, lyrically, I don't really care for it either. It's okay. I would have been perfectly fine if that song was never included on the album. The Black Dog, though, is a song that I keep coming back to, and I had a really hard time choosing between the Black Dog and the manuscript for my favorite. But I ultimately went with the Black Dog just because that's the one that I keep going back to. That's the one that's always stuck in my head. That's one of the most beautiful tracks I think Taylor's ever written. Like, I was talking about LOML being a top 10. The Black Dog is probably a top 5 in her career. Number 7, okay guys, don't kill me. There were so many albums that came out this year. This one had to go somewhere. Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. My least favorite song is Alligator Tears, and listen, don't take that as me hating that song. I don't hate it. I just don't usually listen to it. It's not the first one I gravitate towards, but it's not a skip. It's a long album. Cowboy Carter's a long album. Like, sometimes there are songs you have to skip. But yeah, Alligator Tears is my least favorite, and then my favorite is Daughter. Listen, the outro of Daughter, I don't even understand how her voice is so versatile. There is a reason people worship the ground Beyonce walks on. It's completely valid. I completely get it. Her talent is unmatched. To think that there are people who listen to Cowboy Carter and thought it wasn't good, I really, like, I don't even like country music like that. I'm from Texas, and whenever Beyonce released Cowboy Carter, it felt like an authentic piece of Texas to me. I spent the first 15, 16 years of my life living and growing up in Texas and gradually falling out of love with Texas. I have a song about it. You can check it out in the description if you want to. But Texas is something that has such a unique atmosphere and a unique feeling, vibe, culture. It's an experience to grow up in Texas. What Beyonce did with Cowboy Carter was, I feel like she took every part of Texas. Like, not only did she do country, but she did like Americana and a little bit of bluegrass, and also like a little bit of hip hop and a little bit of R&B. Like, these things are all very Texas things. Even having features from like Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton, who are huge legends in the country scene. I was thoroughly impressed with Cowboy Carter, and I think all of you guys should be too. And if you haven't given the project a listen, I highly recommend you do, because there's a reason Beyonce is so well renowned. Her talent is undeniable. This is the last album in the great category. At number 6, we have Negative Spaces by Poppy. I reacted to this one on my channel. You can click on it up here, I believe, or there, but I'm pretty sure it's here. I think I've listened to Negative Spaces every day since it came out. What an incredible album. And I've explored a lot of my thoughts on this album in my video about it, but holy shit, what a refreshing take on Poppy. Her vocals have improved significantly since her last album and from her first album. Her songwriting has gotten better, her production has gotten better. Thematically, I feel like this album was her most cohesive. There isn't a single song that really drags. There isn't a single song that I'm like, oh my god, this song is so difficult to get through, because there's really none like that. My least favorite track would probably be Nothing, which I've discussed that over on that video. And then my favorite track is Surviving on Defiance. I think Surviving on Defiance is a highlight in Poppy's discography, because I feel like it encapsulates a lot of what Poppy's image and career and branding has all been about. She is truly one of the strongest women in music right now. And with that said, the only categories left are Not Great, Mentions, and Perfection. So I wanted to mention Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. I have not finished listening to it, and I don't really care to. I feel like I'm the only person in the world that doesn't really care for this album. That's no disrespect to Ariana Grande or that project. It's just, for me, It's not something that I can finish personally. Great Impersonator by Halsey. Okay, a little bit of a 180. Haven't finished listening to it, but really want to. It is a beautiful album. It's just a long album, and so I don't have a whole lot of time. If I had to pick a favorite song from what I've heard so far, it would be Lonely is the Muse. Chromacopia by Tyler the Impersonator? No, Tyler the Creator. I haven't finished listening to Chromacopia as well. I've heard a couple songs off of it from what my friends have played, but I haven't had time to sit down and listen to the album. So I did not put it on my ranking just because I haven't heard all of it yet. A Stranger Desired by Bleachers. So I've only listened to this once, and it's literally just a remake of all the songs on A Strange Desire. Okay, Strange Desire is like my favorite Bleachers album. I don't understand why I had to go back and redo it. I think they're great versions of the song. I just prefer the original version, and it's also like a re-recorded album, so I didn't know how to rank that. Like, Unhappy EP. I told all of my friends that I wasn't going to rank their albums, so I have listened to Unhappy EP by Juliana Joy a lot this year, a lot, and I think it's an incredible project, and I think all of you should go check out Unhappy EP, because wow. Juliana's vocals never disappoint. Her songwriting is incredible. I've worked with her as a songwriter before. I am coming back to the music industry, so there may be more songs coming out with her. I mean, right now we haven't written any, but maybe we will one day. You never know. Okay, Genesis by Ray. Genesis isn't really like an album or an EP. It's more of a single, but the single is like 3 songs. I don't know how to describe it. I really wanted to make a mention of this project though. It's literally like 1 song. But for me, Genesis is Song of the Year. Song of the Year, I'm not even kidding. Above every song that I heard this year, Genesis by Ray is the best one. And if you haven't heard Genesis or watched the music video, go listen, go watch right now. What an incredible project. Blue Heaven by Tiffany Johnson, another person I know, so I wasn't going to rank it, but I do think Blue Heaven is an incredible piece of work. Tiffany is like a really good songwriter. Tiffany is very much, I'm going to write you a song, you're going to listen to my story, and you're going to feel all of the emotions that I felt going through this. But also have like a little fun with like the tongue-in-cheek, like really good metaphors. She's an incredible songwriter. I would love to work with her one day. Concrete Jungle, the OST by Bad Omens. Again, haven't listened to it all the way through. It's like a compilation of new songs and then redone versions of old songs and then live versions of old songs. I had no idea how to finish this. I was like, okay, sure. I still want to own the vinyl and all that. I just like, it's like that's an ambitious project to listen to all the way through. And then lastly, Scarlet 2 Claude. I wanted to rank this so bad because it would be up there. It would be up there, maybe even above Negative Spaces. No, not that high. But it would be up there. Doja Cat really popped off with this deluxe version. Okay, now we're getting into Not Great. There are only 2 albums in Not Great, and these are albums that I really didn't like and cannot re-listen to for the life of me. It is a struggle to get me to re-listen to them. And I feel bad about saying it, so please don't crucify me. But at number 19, I Love You So Fucking Much by Glass Animals. I kind of don't even want to get into this because it breaks my heart to say that Glass Animals made an unlistenable album for me. Cannot get behind it. It is so watered down. Even like all my friends haven't finished listening to it. I've warned my friends before going into it that I can't finish listening to it a second time. I listened to it all the way through the first time, and the entire time I felt like that video of AJ reacting to Renaissance by Beyonce, where she's literally just sitting there in complete silence, straight-faced the entire time. It was not enjoyable. Like, I couldn't even give you like a favorite song, could I? Yeah, on my notes, I wrote favorite. Well, I'm not going to show you my list. That'll be spoilers. But on my notes, I literally wrote favorite, none. There's not a single song that I would care to come back to off that album. I remember when the singles came out, I was like, surely these are the most radio friendly because they're trying to have another Heat Waves or something. But the actual album is going to be the Glass Animals I know and love and fell in love with. Nope. They just disappointed me on this album, filling it with radio hits. And like, I don't even see the radio, like I don't see any of these songs catching on enough to become radio hits. They had Heat Waves, and that is wonderful for them. Let that be the radio hit of your career that sustains you, but keep making albums for your fans. I felt like this album was way too safe for Glass Animals, considering Zaba was one of the most out there albums I'd ever heard, which is what made me fall in love with them. I feel like Zaba is such a beautiful piece of work that I can put on doing anything and it will take whatever I'm doing. I could be doing my taxes and it will elevate it to an esoteric level that I don't think anyone could reach doing their taxes. And then the second album at number 18, I need y'all to put on your hard hats for this one and just hear me out, okay? Like, I'm gonna say what this is and I need y'all to hear me out before y'all click off the video, before y'all make assumptions, please, okay? I am begging you to let me explain myself because I've been so afraid to say this. The Secret of Us by Gracie Abrams. Please hear me out. You can like completely ignore my opinion of this if you want. Like, if you don't agree with me, you don't have to, and that's perfectly fine. If you enjoy this album, that is a wonderful thing. But listen, I am a Gracie Abrams fan. This is what it feels like came out. And I remember listening to that project and adding a bunch of the songs to my playlist. I also loved Good Riddance. I think Good Riddance is an incredible album. My problem with The Secret of Us is it didn't feel like Gracie to me. It didn't feel like the Gracie Abrams I knew. And I think that might be a theme with the albums that I didn't like, is it didn't feel like, yeah, because, I mean, in the mediocre category, I also had Bleachers on there. So, yeah, I think with The Secret of Us, it didn't feel enough like Gracie to me to categorize it as a Gracie album. I'll tell you the things that I liked about the album. I liked her vocals. I feel like her vocals have definitely improved a lot. And I liked some of, I don't know, I like some of the production choices. I felt like on Good Riddance, a lot of the songs started to get a little repetitive. I felt like she did a pretty good job keeping things diverse on this album. I was hoping that the deluxe version would have some sort of redemption for me, and in a way, I do think that the deluxe version of the album is better. Bear with me when I say this. I feel like this felt like a lot of Evermore B-sides. I feel like Taylor Swift wrote all of these songs and didn't want to release them and gave them to Gracie. And I know that sounds so disrespectful, and believe me, this is coming from a place of love for Gracie. I felt like this album did not feel like her. It felt like she had just listened to Taylor Swift for 2 years straight and tried to write, how many songs are on the deluxe version? 18? It felt like she tried to write 18 Taylor Swift songs. I mean, she even has Taylor Swift on one of the songs. So like, if that doesn't tell you, like, I'm fully aware that I'm the only person in the world with that opinion, and I don't feel good about it. It's just the way I feel, and I'm sorry about it. Maybe one day this album will grow on me. But as of right now, it's really hard for me to listen to any of the songs and not skip. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that Gracie can't expand her sound and experiment with new things and try new things. I fully encourage that. I just feel like she wasn't being authentic to herself. But enough about lamenting on the not great albums, because now we're going to my top 5, which I consider perfection. I want to remind you that my opinion doesn't mean anything. I'm a random gay man on the internet. Like, if you disagree with me, that is your prerogative, and that is perfectly fine. So with that said, number 5, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish. Every single time I went to go listen to it, I couldn't stop. That became my entire personality for the day. I've been following Billie Eilish since Don't Smile at Me. I remember exactly where I was the night that When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go came out. I remember where I was when Happier Than Ever came out. And I remember I remember exactly where I was when this album came out. It's so beautiful. And to think, this year, I had denounced myself as a Billie stan. I'm not the same person I was in middle school whenever I enjoyed When We All Fall Asleep. I'm not that person anymore. And when Happier Than Ever came out, it was like, okay, I realized that I may have outgrown Billie Eilish. So whenever my friends were all like, no, you have to listen to Hit Me Hard and Soft, I was like, okay, I will. Hit Me Hard and Soft feels so fresh every single time I listen to it. It's so adult. It's so, like, to me, it is a rebirth and a shredding of the skin that a shedding of the skin that she once bared as the Billie Eilish persona. This feels like a brand new, reborn version of Billie Eilish. For the top 5, I didn't pick a least favorite for any of them, so I won't be talking about my least favorite tracks on the album because there really aren't any. Especially whenever, like, literally, I consider all of these albums literal perfection. So instead of choosing a favorite and a least favorite, I chose 3 favorites. So those would be Wildflower, Chihiro, and L'amour de ma vie. Every single time those songs come on, it is like full body chills, ascension. Like I can't express what this album does to me because it is so beautiful. At number 4, Found Heaven by Conan Gray. If you had told me at the beginning of the year I would be making 2-hour-long videos about Conan on my YouTube channel, I would have been like, why? What is there to talk about? I made a video, it was a commentary video about Found Heaven and why it's a perfect album, so I'm not going to go into it a whole lot here. And then I also made a concert vlog where I went to the Found Heaven tour and met Maisie Peters, which was also a crazy experience for me. All I'm going to say is like, wow, what a perfect album and what a great transition in Conan's career. I feel like a big theme this year was rebirth for a lot of different artists. I mean, I said it with Casey, I said it with Cupcake. My favorite songs are Boys and Girls, Bourgeoisie's, and Miss You. And I will not forgive him for not putting Miss You on the set list. I mean, if you told me that Conan would make an authentic 80s inspired album, I would not have believed you before that album came out. And like, you know, it's not like 80s in the way that like Dua Lipa and Lizzo were doing 80s a couple of years ago. It's like full on, like he went back and he did his research on Pet Shop Boys and David Bowie and Queen and Journey and stuff. Like he went back and did his research and was like, here is an 80s inspired project that feels like it could have come straight out that era instead of like new disco. Number 3, I don't know if many people are going to know who this is. Have's debut album, Baby I'm the Wolf, came out. It's on, I don't know if you can see it. It's not in frame, but I have the vinyl up there, a signed version of the vinyl. I only put albums on my wall if 1, I have 2 of the same album, and 2, if it is an incredible album that I want to display. She like goes into the trials and tribulations of girlhood. Like I've never heard girlhood described in such, or like written about so poetically, poignantly, in such a like, the album feels very esoteric and ethereal. It's like you're experiencing girlhood all over again with her. My favorite songs are Vampires, The Huntress, and Nature's Bride. Oh my god, The Huntress, fist me and use that song as lube. There's not much I can say to describe the album other than perfection and that all of you should go and listen to it immediately. Okay, we're at the final 2. We're at the final 2, and this was the hardest top 2 I've ever done in my life. I was flipping back and forth between these 2 albums all year. Like, I'm not kidding. I listened to both these albums. They kept switching 1 and 2 all the time. But I decided at number 2, What Happened to the Heart by Aurora. Something that I've been talking about all year is I feel like the art of album listening has been lost. I feel like people don't go and listen sequentially to an album looking for the story and the flow of the tracks anymore. There is a time and place for a playlist, and there is a time whenever an artist drops an album and it is expected to be listened to front to back, no distractions, nothing. You are meant to dive into that story. One album that I can think of is Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. I feel like that is an album that you have to sit down and you have to focus and really invest yourself in this character's life. That's what Happened to the Heart by Aurora did for me. What Happened to the Heart is an album where from the first track you expect it to be very mellow and chill, and it is like, wow, this is a poignant vignette of what the glimmers of doubt in a family dynamic, in a personal reflection look like. When you look at yourself, what do you see? It is a very interrogative first half of the album where you're watching this person slip lower and lower into a depression, and then as the second half of the album picks up, the songs get aggressive with like club and house dance beats, where it's like you're watching this person slip from a comfortable state of mind into watching the world around them fall apart. And being an American right now, I feel like this album is so important. It came out, in February? I can't remember when it came out, but it came out way early this year. before all the shit that was happening these last couple months started happening. And even back then, it felt so important with everything happening in Palestine and with Roe v. Wade being overturned a couple years ago, still fighting for that, for those rights back, especially in songs like My Body Is Not Mine. You could take it as dissociation, where it's like you're looking at your body and it doesn't feel like you because you're not connected to yourself or with the world around you in any sort of way. But it also could be interpreted as, in America right now, women don't have bodily autonomy. And that is a really scary thought. In a lot of states, women don't have access to healthcare. And that's terrifying. So whenever I listen to My Body Is Not Mine by Aurora, I was like, oh my God, like I can see this applying to the current world we live in so many different ways. It is such a multifaceted song, and the ending of the song being a sort of metal inspired drop, where she just keeps repeating ceasefire now, ceasefire now, ceasefire now. It gave me chills. The entire song feels like panic. Like it feels like panic. It's like I don't feel it's like it is a perfect personification of anxiety to me. And same with songs like Starvation and let me look at my favorite tracks actually. My Body Is Not Mine, Starvation, and Dreams. Let me go look at the track list really quick and like break this down for you, because I actually filmed a full video talking about this album, but it was like late at night. I was naked, like I wasn't about to post that. Yeah, The Blade, My Name, Do You Feel, all these tracks are like delving deeper into the disconnect. Like it really is like the album is the question, what happened to the heart? The tracks are the answer, where you get to watch what happened to the heart. You get to watch this person disconnect, not just from their body, but from the world around them and from themselves. You get to watch the world disconnect from this person, the world ostracize this person and push them away. And you get to watch the empathy, you get to listen to the empathy disappearing from the songs and disappearing from the world, and like hope depleting throughout the album. It is so, but then right after My Body Is Not Mine, the last track, Invisible Wounds, where you start to get a regrouping of what made you a person, like what makes you human. You get to bring all that back in the last track. And it's that last track is like an acknowledgement of things are not perfect. Things will never be perfect. But the best thing we can do is hold on to that love and that light and that empathy and to the heart, as the album title says. You get to hold on to the heart and hold on to the people around you, and you get to make it through this. You get to fight to bring all these things that were taken away from you back, because it is a privilege to be human and it is a privilege to be alive. And there's so many times that we ask for some sort of refuge or some sort of relief from having to experience the human dynamic. God, did I really put this at number 2? Okay, number 1's really deserving, but like this album also is so deserving of number 1. I'm gonna call it a tie, actually. I'm gonna call it a tie. 1 and 2 are tied. I highly recommend that album. I highly recommend everyone go give it a listen, especially if you live in America right now. If you're watching the world that we live in kind of crumble around us, it is okay. We're all in the same boat. Go listen to that album. It might provide you some answers or some comfort in these really dark times. And that leads us to the very last album at number 1, Brat. Y'all were waiting for when Brat was going to show up on this list. The only reason this one won over the last album, the only reason this album is number 1 is because of the cultural impact it had this year. Everyone was having a Brat summer. The songs were a very inventive take on Charli XCX's music career. And there's not a skip on the album. Even the remix album, I mean, there's some remixes that I don't care about, but the remix album even expanded on the album and made it that much better to me. Everything is Romantic featuring Caroline Polachek is a beautiful track. Same with I Think About It All the Time featuring Bon Iver. You could not look me in the face and tell me that there's a bad song on that album. And if you did, you're an asshole who is really pretentious and only listens to niche underground music, and once this album blew up, you stopped liking it. I genuinely can't see how anyone could not like this album. It is a perfect album. There are numerous times where I've contemplated adding this album to my top 10 albums of all time list. That is a list that I'm very protective of, and not a list that I am easily influenced to change. My favorite songs on Brat: 365. Oh, the remix of 365 featuring Shy Girl. Ooh! God damn that remix. Name a remix that hits harder than the original song. Somehow 365 managed to hit harder than the original song. I don't even know, because 365 already feels like a whole trip. And then Von Dutch and So I. If y'all don't know, I did Von Dutch for my first ever drag show, and that's a number that I'm very, very proud of, considering it was my first time performing in drag. At the end of the day, I'm gay. There's not much that I can say about Brat that hasn't already been said, so I'll leave it there. And with that, and with that, that means that we have concluded this video. We have concluded all the albums that I listened to this year. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with me. Thank you guys for listening to my opinion. Again, it's my opinion. If you have a different one, please comment it down below. I would love to listen and not judge. I also would like you to extend the same grace to me. Listen, but don't judge. I would love to have a civil conversation with you. I would love to just talk about your opinions, and like, maybe I'll change my mind on that Gracie album. Whoa. I keep wanting to combine the word Abrams with album. Anyways, maybe I'll change my feelings about that Gracie album if you guys tell me what you guys love about it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for clicking. I've got so many good new videos, so go check out my Patreon, subscribe to the channel, like, subscribe, all YouTube things, and I will see you guys in the next one and in the next year. Goodbye.